Let's make together Atelier Aida's wide leg trousers with side slits. Fold the fabric in half with the self edge aligned and the right side of the fabric facing each other. Place the pattern pieces on the folded fabric, ensuring the grain line of the pattern runs parallel to the self edge. Cut the pattern pieces and don't forget to mark all the notches. For the drawstring, cut 2 strips of fabric on the straight grain line, each 5 cm wide and 1 meter long. Don't forget to mark slits opening on both front and back panel. Start by finishing all raw edges, using either a serger or a zigzag stitch on the regular sewing machine. This includes the front and back panel, waistlines, crotch seams, inseams, and hems. Keep the crotch seams straight while you are overlocking them or zigzagging. On the back panel, after finishing the raw edge of the slit opening, prepare the slit facing. Fold the slit facing to the wrong side along the fold line. At the top of the slit, there is a V shape that must be folded. Wrong side facing each other. Now you have to overlock this corner in one row. You can either start from the waistline or from the slit, but what is important to keep the corner straight by pressing the fabric flat. At the corner of the slit, pivot the fabric so the slit edge becomes a straight line, and then overlock all the way to the waistline. On the front panel, first overlock waistline, hem, side seam, and the slit opening. Then again, when you reach the slit corner, pivot the fabric so the slit edge becomes a straight line. Keep the fabric straight and continue serging or zigzagging down to the slit edge, or if you start from the slit edge, to the waistline. Then press all the edges that you zigzag or overlock with the iron flat. Attach the side seams up to the slit opening. Place the front and back panels with the right side of the fabric facing each other, aligning the side seam. Pin from the waist down to the marked points. From this point, slit opening begins. Make sure the slit opening starts point on both front and back panel are perfectly aligned. And make sure don't catch the back slit facing when you are pinning these points. Start sewing from the waist using a 1 cm seam allowance. Don't forget to backstitch at the beginning and the end. Be careful not to catch the slit facing on the back panel in the side seam. Now press the seam allowance open with an iron all the way down to the slit opening. Repeat the same steps for the other leg. Fold the slit of the front panel along the fold line, starting from where the side seam stitching ends. Continue folding evenly down to the hem. To keep it straight and parallel to the slit opening, measure the fold on the top where the side seam meets the slit. Then maintain the same width. It's 6 cm, all the way down to the hem. Press it with iron and later pin it to secure the fold. On the back panel, measure the slit facing. It's 6 cm. Then fold the remaining facing evenly all the way down to the hem, maintaining a consistent 6 cm width. Press the slit facing with iron and pin to secure the fold. Now fold the hem on both the front and back panels at 6 cm. Pin it in place and press it with iron. Repeat the same steps for the other leg. To create a mitred corner on the slit hem, open the fold hem and on the wrong side of the fabric, mark the edge of the folded slit facing using tailor's chalk. Then open the slit facing fold again. Fold the hem up by 6 cm and mark the hem fold line onto the slit facing on the wrong side of the fabric. Then draw a diagonal line connecting the two marked lines point together. Fold the corner diagonally with the right side of the fabric facing each other, aligning the marked lines and points. This will form a triangle at the corner. Stitch along the diagonal line, trim away the excess fabric, leaving approximately a 1 cm seam allowance. Turn the fabric the right side out and press the corner carefully. You will now have a clean mitred corner where the slit meets the hem. Repeat the same on the other panel. Pin the slits facing in place. Now sew along the folded slit edge on the wrong side of the fabric, stitching from the top of the slit down to the hem on both the front and back panels. Stop sewing when you reach the mitred corner at the hem edge. Do not forget to backstitch at the beginning and at the end. Repeat these steps for all 4 slits facing, both front and back panels. Now it's time to sew the slit close. Place the back panel slit facing under the front panel slit opening. You can choose to sew it either on the wrong side of the fabric or right side of the fabric. Stitch a diagonal line from the stitching line along the slit on the back panel to the front stitching line of the slit opening. This will close and secure the top of the slit, holding both layers together. Now it's time to sew the inseam. Fold the front panel over the back panel and aligning the inseam. Start by pinning the key points, the crotch, knee, and the hem. Then continue pinning evenly along the rest of the inseam. Don't forget to open up the folded hem and keep it flat. Sew along the inseam using a 1 cm seam allowance. Don't forget to backstitch at the beginning and at the end. Then iron and press the seam flat. After this, you can sew the hem. Fold the hem of the trouser up to 6 cm all the way around, pin it in place and press with iron. Start sewing at one side of the slit opening where the previous slit stitches end. Stitch the hem all the way around the leg and finish at the other side of the slit. Keep the hem even and consistent while sewing for a clean finish. To sew the crotch seam, turn one leg right side out and the other leg inside out. Insert one leg into the other one. Slide the leg that is right side out into the leg that is inside out, so the crotch seam are aligned and the right side of the fabric are facing each other. Pin along the crotch seam from the front waistline through the crotch to the back waistline. Sew along the crotch curve with a 1 cm seam allowance. Secure your stitches with the back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Iron and press the crotch seam open for a smooth and professional finishing. To create a tunnel for the drawstring, fold the waist edge to the wrong side of the fabric by 3.5 cm, ensuring the fold is folded evenly all the way around the waistline. Mark the buttonhole placement. The starting point should be 0.5 cm below the folded waist edge and 1 cm away from the crotch seam. Cut a small interfacing of 2 cm by 2 and place the interfacing on the wrong side of the fabric at the marked buttonhole position. Fuse it in place using an iron. Now make a buttonholes with the right side of the fabric facing up. Open up the fold that created for the tunnel. Make the buttonholes only on single layer. Fold the waist along the pressed fold and pin it in place. Keep the wrong side of the fabric facing up under the sewing machine. Sew along the edge at distance of 0.5 cm from the raw edge, stitching all the way around the waistline. It's recommended to start at the side seam. You don't have to backstitch at the beginning. When you finish, backstitch only at the end to secure your stitches. To make the drawstring, take the fabric strips you cut for the drawstring. Place the right side of the fabric facing each other and sew one of the short ends with 1 cm seam allowance. Then fold the long strip lengthwise with right side of the fabric facing each other. Sew along the long edge with 1 cm seam allowance, stitching from one end to the other. Don't forget to backstitch at the beginning and at the end. Trim away about half of the seam allowance to reduce bulk and make turning easier. Use a loop turner or a safety pin to turn the drawstring right side out. Make sure to back out the drawstring slowly and don't bunch the fabric at the point where it turns inside out. Press the strip flat with iron. Now it's time to finish the raw edges at the both ends of the drawstring by folding the fabric inward and securing it with small stitches. Finally, attach a safety pin to one end of the drawstring and guide it through one of the buttonholes. Feed it through the waistband tunnel and bring it out through the other buttonhole. Now you can enjoy wearing your wide leg trouser with side slit.